What's going on, guys? I'm Nick from Koning. Welcome back to another video. If you're already a subscriber to our YouTube channel, you've probably seen a few weeks ago we did a video talking about the top 5 cars you can get to race under 5 grand. We weren't talking about drift cars, we weren't talking about drag cars, we were talking about cars you can take grip driving. We even thought it would be a good idea to ask some of our friends what their thoughts were on their picks for the top 5 cars. Now, we made all of them pick 5 cars, and how we chose the top 5 was we picked the commonalities between everybody. Nobody heard what the other person had to say. Everybody shot all of these individually in their own homes. It was all 100% their opinion. So for example, if one of the cars popped up amongst 3 people, we know that that's in the higher ranking category because it's something that's commonly picked amongst all the drivers. Now, that being said, there were a handful of cars that were mentioned, but because either somebody didn't mention it or it wasn't a very popular car amongst everybody, we decided to leave it out because remember, it was the top 5 cars. But we feel like those cars deserve honorable mentions, so that's what we're gonna do today. Today, we're gonna tell you the honorable mentions of the top 5 cars that you can get for under 5 grand.
I'm gonna go with a car that I think is really underappreciated and probably isn't gonna make it on too many other people's lists, but it really should because it's a car that was built to rival, if not beat, the NB Mazda Miata, and that is the Toyota MR2 Spider. Maybe it's not really seen as a widely popular enthusiast car because in that era, Toyota really wasn't building anything enthusiast focused, but the truth is that 2000 to 2005 MRS Spider is a honey of a car. It's mid-engined, which is pretty special in and of itself. You know, I spoke a little earlier about 50-50 weight distribution, and what really matters is the location of that weight, and putting the engine in the middle of the car obviously gives it the best possible pull or moment of inertia. It's going to make for a great handling car, a car that really feels very stable, very rotatable on the limit. It really, it'll be on a pivot. It'll turn very easily because of where its weight is located, and as a result of that, those MR2 Spiders were absolutely killer at autocross. Plus, I just think they look really cool. I like the styling. They're a little quirky, a little different. I love them. I'd love to build one. I'd swap a K20 or a K24 into one of those in a minute and just go have an absolute blast beating up on, Corvettes and BMWs and Mustangs and a lot of the stuff that you might think of as being affordable track cars.
Which is why my third one is the Subaru. Despite what most people say,
no, I'm not going to pick a WRX.
The Bug-Eye Subarus are now well under 5 grand. You can buy 2 of them. You can blow one up and still be able to buy another one. So they grip, they go. They may have some mechanical problems oiling wise once in a while, but still a good choice.
I know you can get one for under 5 grand. I'm a big fan of the Bug-Eyes, but man, they are, let's just call them ticking time bombs. Let's be honest, everybody. They have all the classic Subaru issues. Their gearboxes are made of glass.
Get a newer one with a better transmission. That would probably be the key.
That's true. The 5 speeds are weak.
The 5 speeds are weak, although my 06 handled it pretty well.
Those ringlands are just dying to cost you a bunch of money. So as much as I'd love to have one as a track car, if I had more than 5 grand to spend, I wouldn't be anxious to start with that as the basis of a cheap track car.
So I think 06 and above, you should still be able to get maybe into the 5,000 range.
I've picked some weird ones. People don't always think about these cars, so my next one is an EP3 RSX chassis. Most people don't think of these cars. They're really an underappreciated chassis.
I was thinking like a Civic Si. Any of them really.
A baby mini minivan, little EP3. You can carry all your tools and your family, your extended family and your friends and their friends.
I have yet to see one out there on track, but if I do, I will drop to my knees and cry. I will.
Well, you took yours to autocross.
Yeah, but I want to see one going down like the front straight at Gingerman and just cheering it on the whole time.
So these cars can actually be had for really cheap. I've seen base model RSXs going for $500. Cars that are newer than EGs that are actually cheaper and better condition, which is crazy when you think about it. These cars came with K-Series. Maybe not the actual K-Series that everybody wants, but it's still a decent and potent motor right from the factory. There's a strong aftermarket following for these cars, so getting suspension components for them to make them work for road racing is actually not that hard anymore. There's a lot of aftermarket support in terms of fixing some of the suspension problems that they had. And there are people who have built these cars to actually be pretty potent on track. And following their setups is actually really not that hard to do. I think it's a great way to get into the Honda platform without having to spend a lot of money. So that would kind of be my number 3 car I would pick.
It's on this list for people who don't want to be caught seen in a Miata because it is a hairdresser car. So you can go with the German equivalent, which I think both of these cars are pretty similar. The BMW E30, and also a ton of these made, and they're actually raced a bunch too. My knowledge is pretty limited on BMWs, but I know I see them at the track all the time, and they're very capable cars. So they actually have a similar spec class like the Miata's spec E30 that races in NASA. So if you can find one of those under $5,000, then that's the perfect way to do it. Good racing, parts are pretty cheap.
The biggest thing with those cars is they are known how to make them fast for road racing. You can go to like Turner Motorsports and just buy a package that kind of comes with brakes and suspension and bushings and basically everything you need to do to build a road race BMW, whether it be an E30 or E36, and basically you're done. You could go out and hot lap the crap out of that car and it's just gonna put smiles on your face.
Maybe be a toss-up between an E30 BMW or even a 944. I can't hardly recommend the 944 because you can buy the car cheap, but that's usually where it stops. They're pretty underpowered and the parts are expensive and you're gonna run into delays. Why did I even say 944?
The Porsche 944. So many people, they are like bulletproof cars and they are worth nothing now. So many chump cars and things getting built out of those. And the parts are pretty well available too.
I like Porsche, so I can't argue with that one.
No, you can't argue. For the most part, they would usually be too expensive, but that one happens to have its good little race following and it grips and it goes.
The E30 and the 944 have this kind of pedigree. So if you're looking for that kind of old school European race history pedigree, at least you get it under the Porsche and the BMW brands. I think there's a sport in driving those cars. I think that those cars will become collectible. I'm not saying they'll be more collectible than any of the others necessarily. I just think there's a little bit of gentlemanly, rugged sport in those cars. And there is a wealth of knowledge and aftermarket for both of those cars.
So that's it for our honorable mentions on grip cars that you can get for under $5,000. What did you think of this selection? Also, check out our other video and let us know what you thought of that selection. Was there a car within these 2 videos that you think should have not been there? Or maybe cars that we didn't mention? Let us know in the comments below. If you guys like this video, again, hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more. The way this video came about is we started it by doing a podcast, and we already did a podcast talking about drift cars that you can get for under $10,000. So who knows, we might have a video about that coming soon. The only way to know is if you hit that subscribe button and press the bell notification so that way you can find out when we post a video. Well, that's it guys. Thank you guys for watching and we will see you in the next one.